Welcome everyone to Photo U. We're so glad you joined us tonight for our digital class, and this class will last about 20 to 30 minutes. We are trying to back off the time a little bit so that it's not quite the time commitment it was in the past, but hopefully we'll give you some good tips as we go through things tonight. Also, if you have questions, feel free to ask them. If you are working alongside, I'm sure you might have questions, so feel free to ask them. If you don't want to type it all in, let Lisa know. She'll unmute you, and you can talk instead of having to type it in. This will be recorded, and we will try and get it posted tomorrow for you. And with that, we're going to actually get started by giving away points, because we're going to do this at the beginning and at the end, because I usually forget these things. So our first points will go to Michelle. Michelle, if you will message Lisa E. your account number, she will happily get those Heritage Makers points, 25 of them, into your account. Okay, so Michelle, make sure you do that before the evening is up. And thanks, Helen. Yes, I cleaned my office and organized it and all those things. So thank you for pointing that out. Okay, we're going to get started in Snap2Finish tonight, first off, and do most of our photo editing in here. So if you are following along, you'll want to go Snap2Finish. Make sure that you are logged in, because if you're not, the projects you work on will not be saved to your account. Okay, and we're going to start off actually with my photos, because I'm going to show you some photo editing you can do in advance. There's a lot more functionality here in this area than there is once you get into a project. So we're going to call this the before project editing. Then I'll show you some in-project editing in both Snap2Finish and in Heritage Makers, okay? So first of all, you can create as many albums as you would like, and then you can upload photos to them. You can actually create the album first and then add photos to it, or you can upload photos and create the album. Either one works. So I'm just going to show you quickly how you upload some photos. So here I have my upload photo manager. I can either select the files or drop the files. So I'm just going to keep life simple and go to select files. And we are going to just upload a couple of screenshots I did earlier today just for the fun of it. Okay, and I'm going to click on open. And here's the key. 2 steps. First of all, you need to select a folder that you're going to put these in. I'm going to put them in my uploads. And second, you must choose this option that says finish upload. It looks like you've uploaded here. You have not. All you've done is put them into photo or uploader. So I click on finish upload, and it's going to add those to my album. Okay, and then it's going to take me to that album so I can see that my photos are down here at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my list of albums, and I want to show you some editing things that you can do within those albums. We're going to use my stuff folder. No rhyme or reason for why these got named this way, okay? And you'll notice I brought in some pictures that shows you the size. This is the pixel size of these images. I can rank these. I'll show you how to rank them in a minute. There are also options here to go right to the editor. You can rename, you can download, you can delete, okay? So I'm actually going to start down here with this photo here, and I'm going to click on it, which takes me to one screen before I edit. And the reason why I'm doing this, I want to show you a couple other options that you can do before you get in the editor. First of all, it tells you how large this file is, the name of it, the date it was uploaded. You can add tags, so I could call this headshot. And then if I wanted to search for all my headshots, if I had a huge album, then I could easily find that. You can also rate this. So if this photo is a 5 because it's really good quality, you can do that. If you decide that all your headshots are going to be color labeled red, you can flag those, okay? Now, to get into the editor here, you click on Edit Photo, and it's going to launch you into a separate editor that includes a variety of filters, is what I'm going to call them, that you can apply. And these are organized here at the very top. You see that this is the one-click set, so these are probably the ones you would use the most often. But then there are others as far as exposure, eyes, skin, and skin too. Okay, so let me just show you how easy it is just to do a one-click on this. Let's say I just want to do Beauty Enhancer. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to run this filter, and it has some predefined settings it's going to do, and it's done. Now, here's the really fun part. Up here, we have different modes for viewing these pictures. Right now, I'm just looking at the picture. I can click on this middle one, and it's going to show me the before, and it's going to show me the after. That's pretty cool. This is my favorite. Okay, here I have the after, and I can go before, after, before, after. Okay, I can actually leave it right here in the middle and kind of get a comparison between the two. So you can see it's really cleared up some of the imperfections on her face, brightened her eye a little bit. You'll notice there's a catch light right here. Okay, so I'm going to actually go back to a single view right now. If I decide, oh, I really didn't like that, I have the option to undo this. So I can just undo at that point. But I'm going to go back and redo, or I could just click on Beauty Enhancer again. And then there's another one that I want to use on this gal. So I'm going to go into the Snap Editor Eyes. And I'm going to use the Natural Catch Light. When I apply that, it's going to lighten up her face just a little bit more so that you can kind of see a little bit more of that before and after. So again, there's the very original photo. Here it is with the catch light added to it. Okay. Now, when you're done working on your photo, you have a couple of options. One is you can save. If you choose save, it's going to overwrite the original photo, which is totally fine. I have tended to do copy because I want to keep my original, but I like these edits too, just in case I decide, well, I kind of wanted to do something different with it, okay? Now, you'll see here that it has this long name on it. If I go back into my folder, my actual album, then I can come down here and I have an option to rename it. So I could say, edited headshot. Submit, and this is now renamed. Sorry about that. Okay, so if I come back into stuff, then here I have my renamed image there. Okay, so that's one that we can do. I'm going to work with this little guy right here. You'll notice that it's kind of a flat image. It's not very exciting. So we're going to brighten this up, and also it's shot on a big, huge wall. So I'm going to crop in on this one as well. Okay, so I'm going to choose Edit Photo. And on this one, I'm just going to use Autofix because Autofix, amazingly enough, does a really good job. It does the standard things that you would want to do. So if I click here on Autofix, it's going to brighten him up. It's going to get rid of some of those shadows that we had. And he actually looks a little bit better there. Okay, so here's before, here's after. So you'll see that he's just a little bit brighter there. Okay, then I also want to crop. So I'm going to choose crop here, and it may be hard to see. So, but over the image, let's see, over his hat, there you go. It turns to a crosshair so that I can click and drag the area that I want to crop. Now, if I decide, well, that's not really what I wanted to have it just a little bit closer, you can grab either corners to size up and down at the same time, or you can grab sides to do width. You can play around with the crop that you want. So if you just want to have him cropped, then I can go ahead and do that. Click on Save. Actually, I just blew that. Please don't pay attention to that. I meant to click on Done. Okay, we're going to repeat this in just a minute. So if I come back out to Stuff, my folder, it did not save because I did not apply that crop. Okay, so again, I'm going to come back in. Sorry about that. Get all kinds of excited with that Save button sitting right there. So let's try that crop again. Okay, I'm going to crop him. And I'm going to pull down on his head just a little bit. That looks good. Okay, make sure you come back over here to where it says Done on the lower left corner. Click on Done, then it will crop. And then you can either save or you can save as a copy, whichever you prefer. Okay, so now if I choose copy at this point, it's going to save out a copy of this image. So I have the original, plus I have this one. Okay, next up, I want to show you some photos I have that are quite dark. When I take photos with my 35mm camera, I tend to go dark, but not as dark as these are. And the only reason why I shoot a little dark is if I take them into a photo editor, it allows me to play with it just a little bit more. Plus, we were on a ship, and this guy stepped right in front of me as I took that photo. Okay, so I want to crop that out as well. So you can see there's a whale tail in there, but it's quite dark. So I'm going to do a couple of adjustments on this. And one is I'm going to go to the exposure. And there are different options for exposures. I'm going to choose the outdoor detail. And you're going to see a big difference in this. Isn't that amazing how much lighter that is? I mean, this one you really don't need the before and after to see, but there you go, how much brighter that turns out to be, okay? I'm also going to do gentle boost. So this is going to layer another filter on top of that initial filter. So gentle boost, and it's going to just brighten it up a little bit more. So again, if I come back and look at my before and after, you can see there's a big difference. Even if I were to undo, or actually I don't think I have, let's see if I do have my screen capture of this I did earlier to show you. Where is it? Okay, so this is the screen capture before I did the gentle boost, and it's hard to tell, but this water is just a little bit greener and things are a little bit brighter than they were before I did that gentle boost. So it just adds a little bit more to it. Now again, I'm going to crop this because I don't want that guy's hand in my photo, and I really just want to focus on that tail. And one thing about cropping photos, and apparently I clicked on the wrong thing there. Here we go again. When you're cropping photos, you want to think about the rule of thirds. So if you think about a grid being drawn on this, I could just crop it to this point and have a square photo, okay? But you can sometimes get more interest on your photos if you leave extra space and if you use that rule of thirds. So basically, this tail is sitting on the top third here. It's the same thing when you're taking photos. And then this is the bottom third. Now actually I'm a little bit high. Okay, so that's probably a better representation of a third there. And so then if and actually this guy's just a little bit narrower, so I'm just kind of eyeballing it here, and I'm going to click on done. And now I have a picture that's a little bit more interesting because I have the tail coming at me. You could almost feel like that whale is going to pull his head up right there in front of you. So you've got some motion going in this image as well. Okay, so as you crop things, think about what you can do to make it a more interesting image than just doing your standard crop. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do copy here. And that's going to save my whale tail out as a copy. And I'm going to do one more animal photo. And this one's actually, okay, Helen brought up a good point. If you're going to print these as 4x6, and actually, Helen, why don't we unmute you and you can just make your statement, because that'll be easier than me reading what you wrote, because you make a very good point.
Okay, so I just copied and pasted it to everybody. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when working with digital files is that they crop the photo while it's on their phone or on their computer before they ever upload it to Heritage Makers or Snap2Finish. When you crop the picture, it changes the resolution size of the file. And so then when you take it up to a digital platform to use it in a project and you try to make it even a 4:6 picture again, lots of times that doesn't work and you'll get that error resolution. So definitely crop for printing, to do in a traditional project, to put in a frame, anything like that. But if your goal is to put them in a digital project, do all the editing but save the cropping until you're in the project.
Yep, good point. So let me show you the difference here. So this original file was 5184 by 3456 pixels, okay? By cropping it, it's now down to 2296 by 2840. So to Helen's point, if I were going to try and put this on like a big canvas, this would be probably too small. I can still get some decent sized projects out of it, but not as much as if I had left it the original size. So good point, Helen. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Okay, now I've shown you how we've gone into clicking on it and gone into editing, but if I click on this guy here and I go to edit, it's going to bump me into the editor as well. Okay, so that takes me right into the editor. Now this one isn't too bad. It is dark, but what you don't realize is there's a little baby calf in here. So I'm going to again go into my exposure, and I'm going to do the outdoor details. And now you can see clearly that moose and her calf is showing up here. Everything is so much brighter on this. Now, I do want to show you one other aspect that you can do with this. I'm going to undo this. There is what's called Pro Mode in here. Now, I rarely use Pro Mode because as much as I play around with this thing, I cannot get it to look as good as some of these filters are. But there are times when you may be able to do that well. So we have slider bars here. You can either click on the dot and drag it. You can click on the minus and that will take it down one step at a time. You can click on the plus, it'll go up one step at a time. You can also type in here. So if I know that I want this exposure to be at a 10, I'm going to type in a 10. I don't even have to hit enter. As soon as I type the number, it's going to start working on it. But using Pro Mode is truly a trial and error situation until you figure out how best to edit your those photos, okay? So if you're just trying to get in and do things and have the best option quickly, the built-in filters are going to be your best option. If you really want to play around with things, then coming into the Pro Mode, it's a great thing to play with, but I wouldn't do it if you're in a hurry. Like I said, it really is a trial and error process to figure out what exposure, what saturation, the vibrance, all those things, because they relate to how much light is included, the contrast between the darks and the lights. Saturation is how much color there is. So you'll see that going to a 10 actually was a really good guess. Let me show you what happens if I change my saturation to even a 3. Okay, and again, saturation is the amount of color that's in there. Vibrance is adding light to it and really brightening up your colors. So if you have a pink color and you add vibrance to it, you're going to get a hot pink. Okay. Hue has to do with white and black added into your colors. So on these greens, if you, and actually that saturation didn't bump it up much. Let's try going to a 10 as well and see what that does. The hue, as I said, is adding either black or white to your colors. Sepia is just like turning on a sepia filter. It adds some browns to it. Gamma, I have yet to figure out the best way to explain it. All I know is it takes your colors and it kind of tweaks them. So while that's coming up, I'm going to quickly unshare and show you. This is a metal print I did with a photo that I did the gamma and the hue and saturation on. So this is the Arc de Triomphe. And I tweaked it enough that that background truly is green on it. So that was a really blue sky that I then turned to green. Okay, so you can play around and have some fun with your designs. You may not be able to tell as much down here, but this car here is green, and he was originally, I believe, a red color. Okay, so there are lots of things you can do when you're playing with hue and saturation, but keep in mind it may not be your best option. Okay. All right, so the saturation still didn't do much to my image, but you can see that I played around with a lot of different things on this. If I want to, I can apply it. If not, I'm just going to click on Pro Mode, and it's going to take me back out of Pro Mode and take me back to my settings. So I'm going to again apply my outdoor details just so I get a better looking image here. And then I'm going to show you again the gentle boost, because I want you to see the difference here. So this is what it looks like just by putting outdoor details on. On this one, if I do gentle boost, I actually don't really like it because I feel like it washes out some of the greens. It does lighten up the mousse more, but you'll see that it's very bright. So you may or may not want to, add that extra touch onto it, okay? But you can do that. I'm going to just take off that gentle boost because I like the little bit more of the darkness on there. I'm going to click on copy to save that. And we're going to look at one more option with a cute kid's picture. It's thinking. You will notice that the larger your photos are, the more time it takes to get in and out of things. These are quite large, so you do need to be patient as it does its saving. And of course, when you do something live, it always takes longer than you think it should. Okay, here I am back, and actually I'm now going to go back into a different folder here. We're going to go into my Ruby folder. And I have this cute picture of Miss Ruby right here. Sorry, I totally should have clicked on it. You'll notice it's a little bit smaller of a file. This did come off of an iPhone, so you can get some great photos on those, okay? Now I'm going to start with auto dark on this one because it is a darker photo. It gave me some great results. And you should know that I have been playing with these photos, okay? So in case you're thinking, how does she know what she's doing with these, okay? Sometimes you just have to play around with them. Okay, so you can notice that her little cheeks have those little hot spots on them now that's been brightened up. So that's nice. But here's the one that I love. If I come in here to eyes, we have this option for natural catch light. So look at her little dark eyes right there. I'm going to run natural catch light on her. And she ends up with these fun little bright spots on her eyes. Okay, so see how dark they are there? And look how bright they are now. They've been totally brightened up. Such a cute little picture by doing that. So, play around with the different options that you have in here. There's all sorts of things you can do. Some of them work really well. Some of them you're going to think, what the heck did I do? It is possible to layer too many things on top just for the fun of it. Let's see what eye lift does on this. It may not do anything. Oh, there you go. She got some crazy stuff underneath her eyes. Let me show you. Okay, so this is one that I would not keep. But if I slide it back and forth, see how her eyelashes really pop out now. So I'm going to undo that. And wasn't quite the look I was going for with little Ruby. I want to keep her eyes kind of cute, but not totally crazy. Okay? So I'm going to save this as a copy. And that is going to be the basics of going through these, the editors. Any questions about using the editor outside of actually doing a project before I get into some of the options you have inside a project? Oh, I am going to show you one more thing. Sorry. Let's go back into stuff. In your albums, you can always download just one picture at a time. So if I do download here, it's going to open it up into a window, and then to download it, you're going to once it loads, right mouse click and choose Save Image As, and that will save it to your hard drive. So then you could take it into Heritage Makers and use it there, okay? So you could edit it here and then take it into Heritage Makers. So actually, let me download one of these other ones because that one is not one of my favorites. We'll go with this guy here. Okay, so I'm just going to download him. Do a Save Image As. Keep track of where you're downloading it. So I'm going to call this Rose. It's in my Downloads folder. I'm going to click back, and the other thing I want to show you is that you have this option here for edit mode. When you go into edit mode, it gives you additional options within the album, okay? So when I'm here in the album, I can search photos if I have tags applied to them. I can select multiple images, so as I click on them, it will let me select them, so then I could move them to a different album. I could copy them to a different album. I could download all of them at one time, and you can actually put in your email and it will email them to you, okay? Under more, so I can bulk assign labels and ratings on them if I want. So there's lots of options for what you can do here. You can also size how many photos you're seeing if you want to see more or less, okay? When you're done, all you do is click on edit mode and it takes you back out of that mode, so you're just looking at the information about these pictures, okay? All right, so Jennifer downloaded that, and I'll show you how you're going to use it in just a minute. So let me show you within a product. I'm going to go into a poster, and wow, it's amazing how fast time goes. Really sorry about this. Okay, we're going to just do a 12 by 18 portrait poster. And we're just going to pick one picture just to keep life simple. And I'm going to go grab out of my demo folder here. We'll go with her. It's not big enough resolution, but that's okay, because what I want to show you is that if I was putting this with multiple images, or even if I just want to change it, I have some filter options built in here. So I click on black and white and immediately change it to black and white. This one, I really wish the names would come up. Here's Sepia. Some of these are really crazy, you know, if you're looking for that black light look. Okay, so each one of these has a slightly different option. It's just taking a while to load them. Because this is a small image, that is going to look more pixelated. But these are some of the settings that you can do with your images once you are inside. Ooh, that's groovy, kind of watercolory looking, huh? Okay, so when you load a photo, you do have an option to put in different colors if you would, you know, change in black and white, change into whatever you want. Let's see if this one's a little better resolution for this. It is a little better. So I can change it to black and white. I can go to sepia. This one kind of watercolors it. This one watercolors it. So lots of options to play there, okay? So let me jump over to Heritage Makers real quick. And in Heritage Makers, we're just going to do a quick project here. Again, we're going to, I'm actually just going to start from scratch, and I'm going to do a canvas. We'll do a 12 by 12 wrapped canvas. I'm going to get started. Give it a name, click to begin. And to add that rose photo in, when it loads, I'm going to go into my photos, which are down here at the bottom, and I'm actually going to size the screen down just a little bit because it'll make it easier to see these options. So I have my photos. I'm going to go into my albums, and we won't put it in with dogs. We'll go into Studio U, and I'm going to add a photo. Click on Add Photo. It's going to take me out here. I'm going to go to Downloads because that's where I download it. I'm going to click on Rose, Open. It's uploading that image. And it should be here at the bottom. Nope, shutter. It's okay. So it's taking a minute for it to process the upload. So you're not going to be able to see that for just a minute. But that's how you get that into your project. Does that make sense, Jennifer? So again, there's a few things you can do in here. So I'm just going to drag this image up into this spot. And I'm going to turn this guy off, and I'm going to resize this image a bit, and we'll see if it's going to be large enough for me to get on. It sure is. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm staying within my boundaries here, and keep in mind that oops, there I went to the yellow. So that's about as big as I want to go. Now, I have under Effects two filter options. I can do black and white. I can do sepia. Okay, so those are your basic ones. Now, this is something that Brooke taught me that I thought was so cool. Okay, so if I want to do this with a fill color, oops, I don't want a full fill color, but let's say that I'm going to, just for the fun of it, I'm going to pick this pink, and I'm going to back this off, and I'm going to change the color here in just a second. Basically, what I've done is apply this filter using pink over the top of it, okay? I want to get my color picker back up, and this time I'm going to pick, if I pick the red from her, it gives a little bit of a red hint. Let's try this blue that's kind of shown up in her hair here. Okay, so I can get kind of a blue tint to it. I could do something in the green family if you want to have kind of a greenish hue to it. And you can adjust how much of that tint is applied to your picture, okay? So you have the black and white, you have the sepia, or you can use fill color to also do some changing on your photos, okay? So if you have photos you want to edit things like rotating or brightening, things like that, do that over in Snap2Finish in that editor, then bring them into Heritage Makers or use them in your Snap2Finish products. I recommend you save a copy of those so that you have that original photo. Of course, hopefully you have the original photo someplace else. You can always upload it again if you need to, okay? Any questions on things that we have covered tonight before we wrap this up? Any last questions? No last questions, and I'm trying to get my participant list. There it is. Okay, well, while you're thinking, I'm going to give away points again too. This time, it's going to be to Donna. Donna, if you will message Lisa E. really quickly with your Heritage Makers account or your Longevity Distributor number, if that's what you use, she will get 25 points into your account, okay? So Donna, if you'll take care of that real quick, we would appreciate that. And again, any last questions before we move on about not cropping photos beforehand? Does that apply to Heritage Makers too? Yes. You don't want to mess with the cropping. You can do some cropping here inside of the editor. Let's see if I have one that, we'll try this guy here. So if I just wanted to have this be a square image instead of having it be the rectangle that it is, you'll notice it actually says right here crop. So I can then come and use these blue lines to then crop it to what I actually want it to be. So you haven't lost the resolution of the image. You still have that whole image without affecting it, and then bring it in. Oh, you meant cropping in Studio too, not just Snap2Finish. Right. So this is in Studio. This is in Heritage Maker Studio. So I'm in Studio right now, and if I want to, it's better to keep it full size, bring it in here, crop it within your project, whether it's within Snap2Finish or within Heritage Makers. This is the best place to crop it because you can totally adjust that crop within Heritage Makers, okay? So I can move it around, I can do all sorts of things with it here, and I haven't lost the integrity of that original file. Does that make sense? Any other questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions on it. So with that, Lisa, did you get Donna's information so that we can get her points? Great. then we are going to call us a wrap. Thank you so much. Next month, we will be doing this again on the third Wednesday. It will be using our hands-on products. So if you like to do hands-on, join us then, and then we'll do digital again in September, okay? Have a wonderful evening. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you around. Bye.